I'm at a place where I really want to find the right gear for my musical voice and my sound, and anything that doesn't serve that, I don't want to have lying around. In the middle of 2022, my wife and I packed up the moving truck and left Nashville. I lived in Nashville for 12 years. I was working as a session musician and I was touring using Nashville as a hub. I had my own trio for about 5 years and I worked with a lot of different wonderful people and had a great experience. I couldn't think of a better place to have moved as an 18-year-old young man from Australia. But moving to Montana, to a more rural area, was something that just felt right. It felt like it was time for a change, and we landed in a really beautiful place nestled in the Rocky Mountains, and it's absolutely beautiful. During the move, I was kind of taking inventory of all the guitars, amps, pedals, and studio gear I have acquired over the years of living in the US. And I just wanted to make a short video for the guitar players out there. Not everyone's going to be interested in this, but some will. It's a video about why I sold almost all my pedals. And it was really quite a liberating thing to do. If you would like to download a full list of the gear that I use, all the guitars, amps, pedals, and whatnot, you can do so using the link below. Just put in your email address and you'll be sent a PDF with all detailed explanation of what I use and why I use it. But for this video, I'm going to take you into my little gear room here. So this is where I store my gear. It's humidity controlled. It's not like the ideal system. I just have a little humidifier set at a certain humidity level. And I'm kind of learning this as I go because I just moved to Montana, which is a lot drier and colder than Nashville was. But I have some cool amps here. I really feel that when I started using really great amps, I just stopped wanting to use pedals as much. I felt like I didn't need to boost or color the sound. I just wanted a big fat tone from an amp. That's kind of what I was always chasing. I really like Fender amps from the 1960s. I have a few different models here, all different sizes. So I have a 1967 Showman, and this has been modified by Kai Kennedy to have the first channel be a little more like a Fender Bassman, and then the second channel be a real clean Fender sound. I have a deluxe reverb here that's also from 66 thereabouts, and I have a Fender Champ here. And the Champ is a great little amp. I use this so much in the studio, and I also put it in a Pelican case and fly with it to gigs. Just 3 knobs. I just love that so much. The simpler an amp, the more I like it, generally speaking. But I also have this Tweed amp that I just got. It's made by Mike Moody at Magic Amplification. I believe it's called the LAX Deluxe. And boy, it sounds absolutely phenomenal. One thing I do that's a bit of a reality check is I keep a spreadsheet on my computer with a list of all the guitars and different pieces of gear that I own with all the serial numbers, because I do keep everything insured. And I feel that it's good to just keep track of what we have, because it's easy to kind of fall into gear acquisition syndrome where we just keep buying stuff and we lose track of what we have. I really think that what a lot of people are looking for in pedals, at least what I was looking for, what we're really wanting is a great amp. It's like if you get a great amp and a great guitar, and the guitar has great pickups, it's like you're 99% of the way there, and a pedal or two can add a cool sound like a wah-wah or a looper or a reverb or something like that. But all these different pedals with all these different sounds, I feel like it's so easy for companies to market pedals because they're small, they're easy to ship, they're cheap to make, especially the circuit board digital pedals, and they're pretty tough. It's much more difficult to ship amps and guitars, but pedals are like, it's kind of an easy sell. And for guitar players, it's like, it's a bit of an investment to buy a new guitar or buy a new amp, but to buy a pedal is like, oh, I can get this new toy and play around with it for a while. But ultimately, I feel like they can be a real distraction, and they can cause us, at least this is what it's like for me, that causes me to be less creative. I feel like I'm more creative if I'm forced to channel my creativity into what I'm playing. And all my favorite players, the legendary people that I admire so much and I've gotten to know, people like Eric Johnson and Robin Ford, I feel like they've found a sound and they've really stuck to it. They know what they like and they know what they want from their equipment. And it's not this endless chase. At least that's my impression of what the greats seem to do in my book. Of course, one of my heroes and big influences is Tommy Emmanuel, and he'll just get on stage, plug his Maton into a tuner pedal, into a AER or a Da Capo amp, and get the most beautiful full range sound you can imagine. And I really just think there's a simplicity and a purity in that I find really refreshing. I bought this champ for about $800 from Carter Vintage Guitars only 3-4 years ago, and now they're worth $1,500 or so. So that's an example of how vintage gear can appreciate in a way that new gear generally doesn't. I bought this deluxe reverb for about $3,000 a few years ago, and now they're worth $4,500, something like that. So it's appreciated as well. This Neumann microphone is an M149, and it's a really incredible sounding microphone. I bought it off Craigslist in Nashville, and the back diaphragm wasn't firing properly. So I paid $2,500 for this, which is half of the retail value. I had it repaired, and then I was planning on reselling it. But then I had my mic genius buddies at Mic Shop in Nashville turn me onto this Andreas Grosser power supply for the Neumann M149, and it totally transformed the mic. I really have no idea why Neumann don't include this power supply in their flagship, most expensive mic, but it dramatically improved it. So I sold the old power supply and bought this one and made a profit, actually. Crazy as that is. So as for pedals, this is what it's come down to for me. This is my live pedal board, and basically I have my acoustic side over here, so I just have a tuner and a loop pedal, and then I go into my Da Capo 75 amp. And this is the electric side here. I have a tuner, a wah-wah, a Nobel's overdrive that stays on the whole time with the drive on 0, so it's really just kind of like a preamp. And then I have a loop pedal, and I have a Hall of Fame Mini 2 reverb. It's just got one knob, you program a reverb sound into it, and it just stays there. So the only pedals I really touch are the tuner when I need to tune my guitar or mute the guitar, my wah-wah that I use on certain songs, and the loop pedal, which I use really as a transition tool when I'm doing my one-man shows. Going from an acoustic song to an electric song, I'll kind of start a loop and then pick up the other guitar. It's just a little bit more of a dynamic way to switch than put the guitar down, pick up another guitar. So that's basically what it's come down to for me, and I really am enjoying channeling my creativity into the songs, into my arrangements, and less into chasing tone with pedals. I have a lot of guitars back there too. Many of those have sentimental meaning to me. Let me know in the comments if you'd like me to do a full guitar run through. But a lot of them are my old Matons, which I've had since I was a teenager. I have a few old vintage Gibsons and some Fender guitars and old Gretschers and different things. I feel there are a few stages that we all need to go through as musicians, and the first one would be learning our instrument, getting to know the fingerboard, learning a lot of songs, building our vocabulary, learning to improvise, all these things. By the way, my website, Invisible Technique, is the place where I teach you how to do that. I feel like a real key in that journey is having mentors. Here's a picture of two of my mentors. There's Tommy and Chet. Tommy gave me this photo for my birthday one year, and I have it in my studio, and I think often, what would Chet do? What would Tommy do? I think the answer to that question is usually they would play something melodic. And that's one of the things I love about Chet's sensibility as well as Tommy's sensibility is it's always melodic. It always grooves. It always has finesse and beautifully expressed dynamics. So I feel really grateful that I've had incredible mentors. I've had Eric Johnson, I've had Robin Ford, I've had Tommy Emmanuel. Rodney Crowell changed the way I think about songwriting, as well as all the different folks in Nashville I've had the honor and privilege of hanging around. But I feel like it's come back to me asking myself, what story do I want to tell with my music? I now have the tools, and now it's just about practicing and creating. I feel there's a lot of musicians who do one or the other. There's a lot of great players who practice a lot and have impeccable technique, but I don't hear any great songs coming from them. And there's of course a lot of people who create amazing songs, but they can't really play them to the degree in which they'd probably like to, in which case more practicing would be of benefit. So I think that dynamic of practicing and creating is a line that I enjoy kind of walking. I went from having the biggest board that Pedal Train make. It almost took 2 people to carry it onto a stage. At one point I was using 3 pedal boards even, if you look at my Premier guitar read rundown from 2013, 10 years ago now, as amazing as that is, to now using just a real bare minimum of pedals. When I listen to someone like Julian Lage, I really hear the full potential of an electric guitar, and I really love that. I feel like there's something really beautiful about a great instrument with great pickups. Ron Ellis's pickups, by the way, are absolutely phenomenal. I'd highly encourage any of you out there to consider selling a couple pedals and putting Ron's pickups in any of your guitars to experience it for yourself, but really, it's a game changer in my experience. A great guitar with great pickups and a great amp. And if anyone's looking for a recommendation for a great amp, I really liked Fender Pro Juniors for an affordable tube amp. Cost about $300, much cheaper than a Kemper or an Axe FX, which are kind of all the rage these days. People are spending thousands of dollars on these amp models, which to me, they just always sound like an imitation. And I understand there are circumstances in which those kind of devices are really handy, like if you're playing in an apartment or playing late at night and you're trying not to wake the rest of the household. But I think the full experience of an electric guitar is a guitar through a nice amp that's giving you a big, fat, rich sound. That's what I would really wish for any aspiring players out there. I do feel very blessed that I make a good living playing music, that I have an audience and a way to express my ideas. Really, I feel like it's about simplifying what I use, simplifying my workflow. And personally, I find a lot of peace in that. So I hope you found this video interesting. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. And if you'd like to download a full list of the gear that I use, you can do so using the link below. It'll send you a PDF with a list of all the different guitars and amps I like to use. I wish you all the best in your music. Thanks very much for watching this video.